The rain hammered against the alley walls as Oliver pressed himself into the shadows, his breath forming small clouds in the frigid night air. The port city of New Horizon was never kind to those who asked too many questions, and tonight, Oliver had asked far too many. He heard the footsteps before he saw them, heavy boots splashing through puddles, accompanied by the whir of scanning equipment. The council's enforcers were getting closer. Oliver's hand instinctively moved to the plasma cutter tucked into his belt, though he knew it would be useless against their armor. Then he heard something else. A soft gasp, barely audible over the rain. Oliver turned his head slowly and saw her, a woman, or something like a woman, huddled behind a cluster of discarded cargo containers. Her skin had an ethereal quality, almost translucent, with patterns that shifted like bioluminescent waves beneath the surface. Her eyes, large and golden, met his with a mixture of terror and desperation. She was clearly not human, and just as clearly, she was being hunted. Oliver had two choices: walk away and pretend he'd seen nothing, or do something monumentally stupid. He'd always had a talent for the latter. "Come on," he whispered, extending his hand toward her. The alien woman hesitated for only a moment before taking it. Her fingers were longer than his, delicate but surprisingly strong. Oliver pulled her deeper into the maze of alleys, away from the main thoroughfare where the enforcers were conducting their sweep. "Do you understand me?" Oliver asked quietly as they moved. She nodded, her movements graceful despite the obvious exhaustion. "Yes, your language?" "I learned it." "Good. Stay quiet and stay close." Oliver led her through a series of passages he'd mapped out over years of running cargo, both legal and otherwise, through New Horizons' underbelly. The enforcers had numbers and technology, but Oliver had knowledge and desperation on his side. They emerged near the old shipping district, where abandoned warehouses stood like metal skeletons against the night sky. Oliver pulled the woman into one of the buildings, sealing the door behind them with the electromagnetic lock he'd installed months ago for exactly this kind of emergency. "You're safe," Oliver said, finally allowing himself to breathe. "For now." The woman slumped against a wall, her luminescent patterns flickering weakly. "Thank you. You risk much." "Yeah, well, I've been told I'm not great at risk assessment." Oliver studied her carefully. "Who are you? Why is the council hunting you?" She looked at him with those golden eyes, and Oliver saw something in them he hadn't expected, not just gratitude, but a depth of intelligence and purpose that made him feel suddenly small. "My name is Eva," she said softly, "and I am more than they know." The next morning, Oliver woke to the sound of ships descending from orbit. Not just one or two, but dozens massive vessels that cast shadows over the entire city. His communication device was flooded with emergency broadcasts, all saying the same impossible thing. The Galactic Council had arrived at Earth, and they'd come for a summit that would determine humanity's place in the greater cosmic community. Oliver's blood ran cold. The Council didn't just arrive anywhere. They summoned. They commanded. For them to come to Earth meant something catastrophic or something extraordinary. He found Ava standing at the warehouse window, watching the ships with an expression of calm determination. Her appearance had transformed overnight. The exhaustion was gone, replaced by an aura of unmistakable authority. Her patterns now glowed with steady, brilliant light. "Eva," Oliver said carefully, "what's going on?" She turned to him, and in that moment, Oliver understood he'd saved someone far more important than he'd realized. "I am Eva Therassian," she said, her voice carrying a resonance it hadn't possessed the night before. "High Arbiter of the Galactic Council, first among the United Systems, and guardian of the Celestial Compact." Oliver's legs suddenly felt weak. "You're? What?" "I was betrayed by those I trusted," Eva explained, moving toward him. Members of my own security detail, bought by factions who wanted me eliminated before I could enact the reforms I'd promised. They stripped me of my protections, my identity markers, and left me to die on this world they considered primitive and isolated. But why Earth? Why here? Ava's expression softened. Because they assumed no one here would recognize me, that humans would be too afraid or too ignorant to help. They underestimated your species, Oliver. They underestimated you. The communication device crackled to life. Attention all citizens of New Horizon. The Galactic Council has convened an emergency session. High Arbiter Eva Therassian has been recovered and will address the assembled representatives within the hour. Oliver stared at the device, then at Eva. They know you're here. I made sure of it, Eva said. I sent out my authentic identity signature this morning. By now, every council member knows I survived their assassination attempt, and they know a human saved me. Those enforcers last night were working for the conspirators, yes. But the real council, my true allies, they've been searching for me. Now they've found me, and justice will be served. Eva moved closer to Oliver, placing her hand gently on his shoulder. The gesture was simple, but it carried profound meaning. What you did last night was not just brave, Oliver. It was the act of someone who saw another being in need and helped without asking for reward or recognition. That is humanity's greatest strength, your capacity for compassion, even toward the unknown. Oliver felt overwhelmed. I couldn't leave you there. Exactly, Eva said with a slight smile. And because of that, everything changes. Within hours, Oliver found himself standing in a chamber he'd only seen in broadcasts, the Galactic Council's Assembly Hall, temporarily erected in New Horizons Central District. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the tiered seating. Their various forms and features a testament to the diversity of intelligent life in the galaxy. And at the center of it all sat Eva, restored to her position, radiating authority. This assembly is called to order, Ava's voice echoed through the chamber, translated simultaneously into countless languages. We address today not only the conspiracy against my office, but also a matter of profound importance, the status of humanity within our council. Murmurs rippled through the chew. Assembled delegates. Ava continued, for too long, Earth has been classified as a developing world, deemed unready for full participation in galactic affairs. But last night, I witnessed something that changed my assessment entirely. She gestured toward Oliver, who stood awkwardly among the crowd of dignitaries and politicians who'd arrived with the council ships. This human, Oliver Chun, risked his life to save mine without knowing who I was. He expected no reward. He faced dangers he could barely comprehend. He acted purely out of moral conviction, the belief that it is right to help those in need. Ava's golden eyes swept across the assembly. If humanity can produce individuals of such character, if their instinct is to extend compassion, even to alien beings they've never encountered, then they are not primitive. They are precisely the kind of species this council was founded to unite. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species objected. Others voiced support. Oliver watched in amazement as Ava skillfully navigated the political currents, using his simple act of kindness as leverage to argue for humanity's elevation. Hours later, after intense deliberation, the vote was called. Humanity was granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, with a path to full membership within a generation. Earth would receive technology, knowledge, and protection, but also responsibilities and expectations. As the assembly dispersed, Eva approached Oliver one final time. You've changed your world's future, she said quietly. Your children will walk among the stars because of what you did in that alley. Oliver shook his head, still processing everything. I just helped someone who needed help. Yes, Eva replied, her luminescent patterns pulsing with warmth. And that, Oliver, is exactly the point. Humanity's capacity for simple, unrewarded kindness. It is your greatest gift to the galaxy. She placed a small device in his hand, a council come badge, marking him as an honored friend of the High Arbiter. The galaxy is watching Earth now, Eva said. Show them what you showed me. Show them that humanity truly deserves its place among the stars. As Eva's ship lifted into orbit, carrying her back to the Council's central worlds, Oliver stood beneath the alien sky and wondered what kind of universe humans were about to join. He'd helped one person escape, and in doing so, he'd opened the door for all of humanity to walk through. The future, Oliver realized, was going to be extraordinary.